February 9th, 2016, a date that moved JNU from a campus debate to a national security threat. Tonight we reveal how dissent became a strategy to paralyze India and why the law is finally closing the door. In part 1, we trace the rise of JNU from 1973 to 2010, a period where ideology took root. But what happens when that root is fed by something darker? In this chapter, the eternal student transitions from books to tactical warfare. We are moving from the academic halls of the past into the strategic underbelly of the present.
Behind the red flags, a different smoke rises. Narcotics and cannabis have crept into the hostels like serpents.
Despite major crackdowns in 2022 and 2024, the haze of radicalization remains thick. This isn't just about student habits, it's about the strategic consequence of taxpayer investment. Billions of rupees are poured into what many call a waste of resources, while whispers of foreign funding and Islamist-left alliances suggest a geopolitical chessboard where the campus is the primary square.
To understand JNU's soul, we must look at its founding ideology.
Jawaharlal Nehru envisioned this institution as a bastion of secularism and scientific temper, aiming to create a socialist intellectual class for a new India. However, over decades, these foundational philosophies were subverted into the radicalized activism we see today.
And Chachaji's daughter Indira Gandhi went a step ahead.
If you've ever wondered why Indian history textbooks feel like they were written by a very specific group of people with a very specific agenda, we need to talk about the truth bomb that's finally blowing the lid off the intellectual establishment. We're talking about the secret marriage between raw power and academic narrative. Here is the breakdown of the Indira CPI Pact that changed everything. There was a massive turning point in India's intellectual history that often gets swept under the rug. During the emergency, Indira Gandhi was under fire. She needed political allies to survive the backlash, and she found them in the CPI, that is, Communist Party of India. But this wasn't just a simple vote for me deal, it was a narrative trade-off. The trade-off? Indira got the political muscle she needed to maintain her grip on power. And the prize? The left got the keys to India's academic kingdom, specifically the history departments and textbook commissions. Let's not mince words. This alliance was a total disaster. Why? Because when you let a specific political ideology curate the national story in exchange for political favors, you trade academic rigor for propaganda. It wasn't about searching for truth anymore. It was about creating a narrative that served the pact. The left wasn't a victim here. They were quite happy with the arrangement. They got to decide what millions of Indian children would believe about their own past for generations. Now, why this matters to you? This isn't just a dusty debate about the 70s. This is about why our current history debates are so toxic. When you spend decades teaching history through a single politically sanctioned lens, you create a pressure cooker. What we are seeing today, the radical shifts and history wars, is the direct result of that original disaster. It's the pendulum swinging back after being held in one direction for way too long. History isn't just what happened, it's who was paid to tell the story. We have to realize that our academic life was essentially a pawn in a political chess game between a prime minister fighting for survival and an ideology fighting for institutional influence. February 9th, 2016. A vigil for convicted terrorist Afzal Guru becomes a launchpad. chants of Bharat Tere Tukde Honge were not accidental, they were choreography. Meet the trio who stepped into history that night. The face, Kanhaiya Kumar, a PhD scholar from Begusarai. Loud and camera ready, he understood that in the digital age, attention is power. The strategist, Umar Khalid. Rarely the loudest, but always the coordinator. His father's association with the banned organization SIMI raised forensic red flags for investigators. The disruptor, Sharjeel Imam. An IIT Bombay scholar who looked at the map of India and saw a window of opportunity. He proposed a chakka jam to block the chicken's neck, the narrow corridor connecting the northeast to the mainland.
5 लाख लोग हमारे पास हैं ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, तो हम हिंदुस्तान और नॉर्थ ईस्ट को परमानेंटली कट कर सकते हैं, और हम परमानेंटली नहीं तो कम से कम 1 आध महीने के लिए तो कट कर ही सकते हैं. मतलब इतना मजा जाने पटरियों पर रोड पे, तो उनको हटाने में 1 महीना लगे, है कि नहीं? जाए एयरफोर्स से असम को काटना हमारी जिम्मेदारी है. असम और इंडिया कट के अलग हो जाए.
Though this controversial speech happened in 2020, the preparations happened much before. Picture this, August 13th, 2018. A young man stands outside the Constitution Club in Delhi, just days before the country celebrates another year of freedom. Suddenly, a gun is pointed at him. A shot is fired. He narrowly survives, but the message from the attackers, 2 cow vigilantes from Haryana, is chilling. In a video posted later, they call the attempt an Independence Day gift to the nation. This wasn't a movie plot, this was the reality for Umar Khalid, the JNU scholar who has become one of the most polarizing figures in modern India. But let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Why does this one name carry so much weight? To understand the Mastermind saga, we have to look at February 2020. While India was rolling out the red carpet for US President Donald Trump, Northeast Delhi was turning into a war zone. 53 lives lost, hundreds injured, and neighborhoods in flames. The Delhi police didn't just see this as a spontaneous riot, they saw a multi-layered conspiracy. Their charge sheets painted Khalid not just as a participant but as the architect, the man who allegedly planned to ignite a religious war to defame India on the global stage during that high-profile US visit. Now, forensics and law do not care for narratives, they care for evidence and statutory thresholds. For over 5 years, Khalid has lived behind the bars of Tihar jail without a trial even starting. His defense, led by Kapil Sibal, presented a starkly different story. They argued that Khalid wasn't even in Delhi when the riots broke out. They pointed to his speech in Amravati, where he told the crowd, "We will meet violence with non-violence." Even the international community weighed in. Just days ago, in January 2026, a group of US lawmakers wrote to the Indian ambassador raising serious questions about due process and prolonged pre-trial detention. But on January 5th, 2026, the Supreme Court of India drew a firm line. In a landmark decision, they granted bail to 5 co-accused but denied it to Khalid. The court's reasoning was surgical. They refused to use a collective approach. Instead, they conducted a role-specific analysis. The bench held that while others had ancillary roles, the material against Khalid disclosed a central and formative role in the planning and strategic direction of the violence. Under the strict gates of the UAPA, if a prima facie case is made at the bail stage, the law stands firm. 5 years in, no trial in sight, and the highest court in the land has spoken. For now, the mastermind remains incarcerated, even as the world watches the fine line between dissent and conspiracy.
And here's where things get interesting. Umar Khalid's legal representation includes a senior advocate like Kapil Sibal. Now pause for a second. Senior advocates of this stature, people like Kapil Sibal or the late Ram Jethmalani, they are among the most expensive lawyers in the country.
Their professional fees are widely reported to be in the range of 20 to 25 lakh rupees per appearance. Not per case, per appearance. Which means, even if the hearing lasts a few minutes, even if the matter is simply adjourned, the fee structure doesn't dramatically change. That's how the top tier of legal practice works in India. Now let's do some basic math. If appearances continue over several years, and this case has been ongoing for nearly 5 years, the cumulative legal expense could potentially run into several crores. Some estimates place it close to 10 crore rupees.
And that brings us to the key question. Who is funding this?
Because maintaining a long, high-profile legal battle at that level requires deep financial backing. Umar Khalid himself is not publicly known to have that kind of personal financial capacity. His father, Syed Qasim Rasool Ilyas, is a political figure, currently associated with the Welfare Party of India and previously linked to SIMI. However, publicly declared assets reported in election filings are under 1 crore rupees. So naturally, the question arises, is this being privately funded? Is there institutional backing? Is there a larger support ecosystem involved? Or is senior counsel appearing at a significantly reduced fee or pro bono? We don't jump to conclusions, but we do ask questions. Because in cases like this, the legal strategy is not just about law. It is about resources, networks, and sustained backing.
And that is a dimension people rarely discuss. From 2019 to early 2026, violence has become a ritual. When students study war instead of books, national survival is at stake. We must ask, is this university governed by Bharat or by narratives that don't belong to this nation? The slogan of JNU is, "Lado padhai karne ko, padho samaj badalne ko." But when education becomes a disguise for brainwashing and subversion, the future of our youth is the price we pay. Education campuses are meant for learning, not ideological training grounds for puppets of vested interests. It's time for a choice. Should no politics in campus be implemented strictly, without exception? Yes or no? Tell us why in the comments. Jai Shri Ram.